Now this is about to seem like friendly fire a little bit because I actually own a GT86, but not the gr86. Now hear me out why I feel like I'm going to say that the GT86 is better than the gr86, but this is because of the dealers, right? We're talking about dealer mock-up, and then we're also talking about just how Toyota itself had priced this vehicle at an insane amount with no turbo. Riddle me this, Toyota. Why the fuck did you not take the hint when we already had the BRZ, we had the FRS, and then we had the GT86, right? We all been saying, man, if this car just had a turbo, it'll be great. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that they probably don't want to rival the Supra because think about it. The Supra is around that 50K range, and then the 2.0, the Supra 2.0 is around that 40K range, and then the gr86 is around that 30K range. Now, I've seen some very high 30s on there. I've seen some going for 40, depending on what trim that you get. And again, guys, for all my gr86 people, I'm not saying that the car sucks at all. Again, I own a GT and I like the car. I was going to get this before I got the GT, but I didn't really know the difference at the time when I was buying the car. So what I'm trying to say is that it makes no sense to me that the GR didn't come with a turbo. It would almost be the perfect JDM if it had a turbo. From factory, a turbo. Now, I think it pushes around like 220-ish, like around what the BRZ pushed. And it just doesn't make sense to me that you had the BRZ and then you have the gr86 and they push the exact same numbers even though the BRZ came out years earlier. It just, what are we doing? What the hell are we doing? And I felt like the gr86 was a gem. I thought it was great until I realized that it didn't have a turbo. I just think at that price range, it literally doesn't make any sense to buy a gr86 unless you can find one that's not over 30,000. You know what I mean? If you can find one that's like at that 20K mark, maybe even 25K mark, I would say like, okay. But like, there's other cars that you can get. And of course, if we're talking about style, like you just like the way that it looked, that's a completely different story. But if we're talking about like power and style, there are different vehicles at that price point that are just completely better, that are just utterly better. Obviously, if you're buying like a GT or even a GR, you probably couldn't afford the Supra. And I'm not saying that like in a shitty way, but I'm saying like, if you could get the Supra, you more than likely would get it over the gr86, you know what I'm saying? But I just don't understand why they price them so much with such little power. Like 220 is kind of egregious. And yes, I do know the power to weight ratio. And yes, I do understand that a lot of people like the styling of them. I love the styling of them. But I just think that Toyota could have done better. Even if it wasn't pushing near Supra numbers, like let's say it pushed like 300, maybe I think that would have been perfect. Like even a high 200, I would have been okay with a high 200. Like if it was like 280, I don't